Hello, everyone. Recently, I've seen a couple videos making excuses for doxing behavior, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the different types of excuses that we've seen in the years that we've been here on YouTube, and how they are received by people as part of our group ethic of what is okay to do here on YouTube. And mostly I'm going to talk about instances where I was involved in the doxing, because I'm not trying to fan any flames of drama for some recent dramas. I'm just trying to compare and contrast maybe some recent dramas to what we've all felt about doxing in the past. So, of course, I've doxed myself and probably my brother by filming all around our houses. And these were unintentional things, and many times you'll get people who are concerned and they'll say, "Hey, maybe you want to edit that out of your video. Maybe you shouldn't show the front of your house because your address is right there." And also, Lone Wolf 1351, Ryan, I have shown inside and outside of his camper that he lived in for a very long time, including the license plate, which I then edited out. And those were honest mistakes sometimes, and sometimes I just didn't care about what the outside of my house looked like. Anonymous Houston and CS Action. Those two, along with Psychological Cynic, who went by a different name, Daxon Islander back then. Those three were walking around the Occupy movement a lot, and they very often, when they're on YouTube, don't show their own faces, especially CS Action. Even though he has live footage of a lot of protests, he doesn't show himself pretty much at all. He loves to point the camera at other people. He's very camera shy himself. But all of them, because of different vantages that I was at, where I was shooting the same type of activism, all of them have been shown. Their real faces have been shown, and that's one form of doxing. And people have found out who they were from that. And it was unintentional on my part when I did the filming, but it happened. As well, Brian J 1962 and Exiled, I filmed their wedding. I filmed a couple of other things outside of a home that they had in Colorado Springs for a while, and that was pretty doxed by that because you could just triangulate from the mountains and then just use Google satellite imagery to find out where that was. Sea Beach, I did some filming outside of his house, and there was a license plate collection that was very unique. And if anyone were to go down the street that we were on, just looking through Google Images for that license plate collection, they would have found where that was. And I didn't intend that, but that happened. But those are most of the unintentional doxings that I've done. I'm pretty sure I've done some others. Maybe Aldous Valor, Ichiro Cannot Die. Inside and outside of homes, because that's the kind of YouTuber I've been in the past, where I actually visited people and didn't have a worry about trolls that would try to find out your personal information in order to contact everyone in your life to tell them, hey, did you know he has this sort of opinion? You should disown him from your family or fire him or whatnot. I had no worries when I did those videos. But I guess the first instance that I had of doxing someone intentionally was actually Pure Paranormal. When they did a DMCA notice on me, I was talking about the actual people behind the corporation by looking up their information and trying to make sure that stigma of putting a false DMCA on me for being a part of exposing them for doing desecration of graves, basically, where they were running tours through graveyards, like ghost tours. When I got that DMCA, I was really pissed, so I wanted to find out who it was, and it actually ended up with the person who was the president and CEO of that entity. She stepped down for almost half a year, and then she took control of it again when she figured out that there wasn't much I could do as far as suing her. That happened. And that was in response to a false DMCA claim. And you'll see a lot of times when people get a false DMCA claim, they will give the information of the person who did it, maybe with screenshots and whatnot, and you'll see in not so active communities, you'll see one person putting out the entire information of someone's doxes when they do that, because you have to put in your personal information just to make the claim. They'll post it everywhere, and no one does anything about that. No one cares when they're not in a tighter knit community. I see it a lot in my weekly flags recap. The next one that I did that I can remember off the top of my head was probably Virum Serum. I doxed the people behind that because they were doxing me, and the whole they did it, so it's okay for me to do it. That really ends up with an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, leaves the whole world blind kind of mentality. But they had a blog, and they had stolen some footage from me and topped and tailed it with their own Virum Serum logo, and they put it on their YouTube channel, and they basically were claiming all ownership of it because they clipped out a lot of my video and just went to the salient parts, and they added nothing really transformative to it. And when I gave that a DMCA, they decided to dox me on their blog and do a lot of research on me. That was awesome. Not. Then there was Ashes the Raven, and there were two excuses that we had, those of us who doxed Ashes the Raven on the internet. There were two excuses, and they seemed to fly with the public. And at the time, he was catfishing. That is, he was pretending to be someone of a different gender, Della Winters, and he was trying to get close to people and talk about himself and find out what people were really thinking about him by using that persona. And he was also pulling cons, which the legacy of this has actually followed him. And the reason why people kept doxing him after he left our particular community on YouTube is because they're trying to warn other people about what he does. And that's been on various blogs on the internet, exiled chiefly among them. But yes, I was a part of that doxing, and no one seemed to really mind other than the person being doxed in that instance, because we were doing it in the public interest. Now, there's two others that I can think of that did some crimes recently that, they were doxed on YouTube. I was part of one of them at least, and that is Tattoo Skin 72 and Hannibal The Victor 13, both of which had criminal histories involving sexual crimes with minors. And there hasn't been that much backlash on anyone who doxed those people in the public interest, because you find out that someone's doing a crime like that, and you warn other people, and all of a sudden you have a get out of jail free card for the doxing action because it's in the public interest. Now, contrasted to what we're seeing now. I remember when the first doxings of Hannibal the Victor came out, and they were on a disreputable website. All of his information, where he lived, his real name, and all that, was put on this disreputable website that was known for extorting people to get their name taken off of it. And this website would mine all of the sex offender registries for information. And you're only supposed to be on the sex offender registry for a certain amount of time, but this website would mine those things, and you couldn't get off of their website until you paid, even though you had paid your debts to society and did your term on that registry. They mined the registry, and they're going to keep it forever and extend that sentence basically for you. And so it's really easy for people to add to websites like that false information. So when we saw it on this disreputable website, it wasn't until a week later that the actual true information came out, that we could positively say that this was an accurate account of what happened. And so it was then that people came out and were okay with doxing Hannibal the Victor 13. Same with Tattoo Skin 72. People dotted their I's and crossed their T's, because you don't make an accusation that somebody has been involved in rape or kitty fiddling or anything like that until you are absolutely fucking sure. Like, you have the court documents right there in front of you. And so, you know, no one really created a backlash against the people who doxed Tattoo Skin 72 or Hannibal the Victor 13 for their criminal records. And I think it really goes towards people taking into account the intent of the people who did it. Were they in heated discussions with those people before? Does it look like a revenge doxing? Does it look like a tactic being used to silence someone that you have had drama with before? Or is this something that you just found and you're just reporting on for public interest? And that seemed to be the difference in my case, because no one's coming at me. No one's came at me for any of those. Let's see. Also, I guess there's Nick Bravo. I've said that, because of his crimes, he's, behind bars right now, and he has moved around. Right now, he is in the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, California. But the interest that I had, behind that, my whole motive in doing that was to get people to send him letters. And it wasn't something that was ill-intended. And I think that's the biggest part of why some doxings have been accepted by the public. They take into consideration, what was your intent, right? Did you wish ill will on that person? And many times, retaliatory doxing with ill will doesn't get the ire of the rest of the community. I would point at Laughing Witch had, written Thunderfoot's employer, and when he retaliatory doxed her, and I will call that a doxing, and pointed everyone at her job, just like she was trying to get people to talk to his job. When he directed people towards her personal information, a lot of people gave him a pass on that. He survived through that, whereas, some doxings, people would be shunned by the community. This has happened with myself as well, where retaliatory doxing of eye for eye, tooth for tooth has happened, and I think people look at the first doxing as being the bad one sometimes, and then the second not so much. not saying that there isn't some people who they are doxing absolutists who would say never ever dox ever, that haven't unsubscribed from me. I probably lost 200 or 300 subscribers over dramas with people because they're just sick of fucking drama, you know. And that's just a number I've pulled out of my ass. I don't actually know how many people have left over shit like this. And there's one other type of doxing that I'll talk about here in this video, and that is the information's already out there, so it's okay to say it. And I disagree with that sort of doxing excuse, because again, it goes back to what is your intent in doing this. Okay. Anyone can look up someone's information in a phone book, or if they've registered a website and they didn't use the privacy option, anyone can find someone's docs, you know. But what are you doing with it and why? It's the intent part that is left out of a lot of the conversation. And you know, when people are trying to excuse their actions, look at their intent. That's what I'm saying. It's all about that, because you can inadvertently dox someone, you can dox someone in defense of yourself, you can dox someone maliciously, and you know, if someone's just doing it maliciously, if that's your feeling, then they deserve the ire of the community.